Happy New Year, my friends! This is all I had. Some bulbs, but I'm going to tie it in by saying that I'm wishing you a bright and light 2021. I'm so clever. But let's not worry about that because it is basically just another day and the human being invented the calendar, so it doesn't need any celebration. And instead, let's get back to business and focus on World Wrestling Entertainment and their Friday night show known as SmackDown. And of course, it was the first wrestling show we've seen in 2021, so I can say with all certainty, it is the best one I have seen all year. Somebody punch me in the face. I also do want to say that the WWE roster also made a bunch of references and quips about Brodie Lee, Luke Harper, John Huber. It has been a heartbreaking week. It has been a difficult week. But seeing all these little tributes makes my tummy feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But let's do it, and we'll up those downs for WWE SmackDown. And so yes, the first thing we did see on SmackDown this week was a tribute graphic for John Huber that opened the show. And like I've already said, it has just been a crazy few days, and of course, now we have to move forward. But let's not forget, let's keep the conversation going. Let's all try and live better and happier and more positive lives. And that way, at least we can find the silver lining. For the final time, I suppose, on these videos, thoughts, feelings, emotions with his friends and with all of his family. It was then right into the show proper, and out came Roman Reigns, Jey Uso and Paul Heyman, and somewhat surprisingly, we are continuing on with the Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens feud. Now, I don't mind this at all, but from a story perspective, it was a little bit strange, because obviously in their previous two matches, the Tribal Chief has basically just ended KO. I mean, it was always with the help of Jey Uso, but still. And Roman got on the microphone here and he said, look, 2020 was really rubbish, but because I am the head of the table, because I am the Tribal Chief, I think I made it work. That's just what I do. Roman Reigns, ladies and gentlemen, he is a psychopath and he is a sociopath, but of course, if he is watching, oh, Roman, I love you. You can sit at my table whenever you want. That is not a euphemism. Roman then went on his usual journey of just emotionally bullying everybody around him by saying, well, I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for Paul Heyman, and look at Jey Uso, he's a main event player now, and of course that's because of me. And then I couldn't believe my eyes. Out came Kevin Owens. This guy clearly has a death wish. Reigns lost it and demanded that Kevin Owens' entrance music was turned off, and then got back on the microphone and said, look, we're done with you. Why don't you go away? You're like a bug that just keeps getting in my face. And then Kevin said, well, you can say all those things about me, but I don't want to kick your ass tonight, Roman. I want to kick Jey Uso's. And in fact, I'm going to go make it official right now. I was a little bit like, Kev, you could have just gone and seen Adam Pearce. You didn't need to come out here, but it was still great to see ya. But still, all of this was good. As I always say, everybody understands their characters. They all have defined rules and they all play it so well. You could probably do this for the rest of the year and I would get billed eventually, but it would take a damn while, and it's getting it up. We then had more WWE weirdness. Down. Now, Big E becoming the WWE Intercontinental Champion is one of the best things that has happened in ages. It really is, and I really hope we use as the platform to push him to the moon. That's where I want him to end up. I want to read my newspaper and it says Big E lands on the moon because WWE pushed him so damn hard. But on this episode of SmackDown, he was taking on Baron Corbin, and because Baron Corbin has just teamed up with the Knights of the Lone Wolf, I was a little bit like, we don't want Big E to lose for obvious reasons, and Baron shouldn't lose because he needs to establish this new group, so what the hell are we going to do? And then WWE just went WWE, and it ended with a disqualification. I mean, flub me sideways. And you already know what went down. Sami Zayn was on commentary, and as soon as Big E looked like he was going to get the win, he ran in, he started beating him up, so the referee went, oh, fine, I'll just disqualify you. So, look at it like this. In 2020, it was the year of the surprise roll-up. We had a board and we smashed through 100. So in 2021, it is going to be the year of the disqualification finish. So bring it down, look at that, a nice shiny new board, mark it up to 1. I am going to predict, given that we are doing it on the 1st of January, that's when this show aired, I think we will get over 200 of these. And if I'm wrong, or you can just call me a bald a-hole in December. WWE then carried on their usual stick because the bad guys, along with the Knights of the Lone Wolf, were beating up Big E, so out came Apollo Crews, and then kapow, we had some magic, and all of a sudden, we had a tag team bout with Big E, Apollo Crews taking on Sami Zayn and Baron Corbin. I was a little bit like, wait a minute, why isn't he teaming up with the Knights of the Lone Wolf? But whatever. And yes, it does kind of feel like we could have just had this tag team match to begin with. But you know what? Who cares? Throw it over there. It rocked. Up. Michael Cole did let us know halfway through that Adam Pearce had made this official, so at least we had something we could hold on to, and then just Big E all around. I mean, from the moment he did make his entrance, he was sat in the corner with his legs open, looking a little bit freaky deaky, to here when he's running wild and hitting big moves. This man has something, and I really hope that management can now see it. Baron Corbin is also great too, and he cut off Big E at one point with a deep six, and that looked awesome. But what wasn't so hot was the relationship between Big Boy Baron and Sami Zayn. I mean, they couldn't get along at all. This is also true when it came to Sami and Knights of the Lone Wolf, and I don't want to be that guy, Zayn, but you may be the common denominator here, and in fact, he wound up his so-called teammates so much, Baron just said, look dudes, we getting out of here, I can't deal with this guy anymore. And they did. They just walked up the ramp. I kind of understood it too because Sami was coming across like your uncle when he's all drunk at Christmas, but what I did not expect was how he lost. Because obviously he turned around here and he was all befuddled because he couldn't believe that he was being abandoned this way. But he wasn't pinned by Big E, he was hit by a powerbomb courtesy of Apollo Crews. And Mr. Crews got the win. So do I dare hope that we are starting a new year and we're starting a new refound push for Apollo Crews? I mean, I'm not going to get my hopes up too much because they will be dashed, but yeah, he got the 1, 2, 3. What a good start for that guy. This continued on in the back too because Kayla Braxton was interviewing Big E, who was all happy like, man, I'm so good. And you know what? I'm so confident in my own abilities. I'm going to start an open challenge next week. And then Apollo, who was across the other side of him, went, well, I know who can be the first challenger. It can be me. And now that's set for next week. I mean, Apollo did try and justify this by saying, I helped you beat Sami Zayn 7 days ago. And I was like, well, if that's the case, every single lumberjack is going to have to get a bout at some point, but we don't need to worry about that. Big E versus Apollo Crews is a match that I want to see. Kevin Owens then found Adam Pearce in the back and he told him to make the Jey Uso match. Adam Pearce went, no, I don't want to do that, but I tell you what, you can take on anybody else. So Kevin Owens went, all right, I'll take on Roman Reigns. Adam Pearce was then like, why are you doing this to me? So KO went, hey, we've got a pass together. Remember when we did X, Y, and Z? And Adam Pearce went, you know what? Have the match. I mean, that really made me laugh because they may as well have been speaking in Russian here, but look, they did an okay job in kind of justifying it. And again, at least we found out why a match was actually going to take place instead of kapow, and it just goes down. Okay, right. What came next is not the best match you are ever going to see. Far from it. But it comes down to this little word known as fun. It's 3 letters and it rarely gets talked about in the world of professional wrestling. But was I sports entertained? Yes, I was. That's why, somewhat controversially, I'm giving it up. Because it was the Riot Squad versus Tamina and Natalya, and it seemed at first that this was going to be another one of those who has Billie Kay picked as her partner, but when Tamina and Natalya came out, they just fobbed her off. So Billie was like, what the hell is going on? But then just pretended, oh, this was all part of my plan, and she skipped down to the ring. But I'm all right with it because she's such a goof. Like at the start, she was shouting advice at Tamina and Natalya, but when that didn't work, she switched sides to the Riot Squad and started shouting advice for them too, but they just stared at her like she was an alien. I was getting a kick out of it. And I should get really furious at the ending too. I should go nuts, but I can't because I was tee-heeing away like an absolute moron. Because Tamina, nobody is meaner, had Liv Morgan up on her shoulders for the Samoan drop. Billie Kay started shouting stuff at her. Tamina couldn't handle what was going on. She's like, this is so strange. I don't know what to do. Which allowed Liv Morgan to use the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment and get the 1, 2, 3. And then Billie Kay acted like she had got the victory. So did the Riot Squad really win? No. Did anybody actually come out of this with any kind of momentum? No. But again, do I just want to see Billie Kay on my TV every single week for at least 5 minutes? You can bet your ass. What else can I say? SmackDown then continued to roll on, and before I say what I am about to say, I do want to make it clear I think it's a tremendous show and WWE has absolutely found their footing with it. But at the moment, I do kind of get this feeling they're not entirely sure on their current direction. Observe. Because next up was Sasha Banks teaming with Bianca Belair to take on Carmella and Bayley. So essentially the same tag team match we had 7 days ago, but Charlotte and Asuka were nowhere to be seen. And this was all fine because they worked a very, very good match, but when it comes to the finish, your eyebrow will go up. Because much like the Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso stuff, it kind of felt like WWE had come to a natural conclusion with a certain storyline, but now it keeps eking on, and I am of course referring to Sasha Banks and Carmella. Because the ending here was Carmella hitting the women's champion with the X Factor and getting the 1, 2, 3, and the commentators letting us know very clearly, well now, she must be the number one contender again. And I was like, wait a minute, Sasha whooped her ass at TLC? I really did think that should have been a one and done. I am still going to give it an up because the match was very good, and once again Bianca Belair put in a really good showing, although for my money she could have lost less. And of course it all came down to Reginald, that damn Reginald. He was in the ring, he was out the ring, and at one point he was up on the apron, so Sasha was like, well, I got to go get rid of this guy. She did, but when she turned around, that is when Carmella hit her with her big move. So there's your get out of jail free card. But this leads to an issue in and of itself, because we've already talked about the themes of 2021 and 2020 and the tropes that WWE just will not drop. So I'm taking it on myself. Not only are we going to have the DQ board, you saw it with your own two eyes, but we are also going to introduce the distraction board, and I am going to try and keep up with all of this, which is kind of incredible because when it does come to the distraction board, it's already a 3. Because Sammy was distracted by Baron leaving, Tamina was distracted because people said words at her, and here, Sasha Banks got distracted by Reginald. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. My word, where the hell are we gonna end up? Also, as we are talking about the year, please make Bianca Belair champion. Thanks. It was very good to watch, though. I want to make that abundantly clear. It's very, very, very good to watch. Somebody who was not enjoying watching any of this, though, was Roman Reigns. Because he was in the back going absolutely nuts, demanding to find out who had made the match official between Kevin Owens and Jey Uso. Once again, I wanted to go, Roman, you know it was Adam Pearce. He does this every single week. It goes back months, but he still demanded Jey Uso and Paul Heyman went and found out. And honestly, the pure madness in his eyes, this guy needs to go talk to someone. Sonya Deville was then back. I mean, she was just walking backstage as the rest of the roster looked at her like, oh my gosh, where has she been? But 1, I hope she's been able to sort out all her personal issues, which did sound absolutely terrible. And 2, WWE, I think she should win the Royal Rumble. That's right, I said it. She's really good. Don't drop the ball. The Street Profits were then doing their thing in the ring. I mean, it was fine, I guess. It was a little bit weird. They were doing predictions for 2021 as Angelo Dawkins played the drums. But fair play to him. He was a very good drummer. I was actually hoping we were going to get some decent ones here, but they just said they think their I used to be the Intercontinental Champion t-shirt that they made for Sami Zayn is going to be a #1 seller, and they said that Dolph Ziggler sucked, and he's going to become the Heartache Kid, because, you know, every time we do talk about Ziggles, we also have to reference Shawn Michaels. Meh. Rudolph then jumped the Profits and absolutely annihilated them, including focusing on Montez Ford's ankles, but then went and did an interview where they said, and now we would like another match. See, it's example number 3. Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode lost clean as a whistle. Whoop, I can't do a whistle, that was some kind of weird noise, but they lost clean as a whistle, whoop, to the Street Profits. Why would they get another match? You can't just keep going, well, I'm going to go beat him up and that way I'll get another opportunity. It's just lazy storytelling. But I will be nice and wait and see where this goes. Maybe WWE's just going to do it on next week's SmackDown to try and load it up, and then we can move on. But what we really need to do is introduce brand new tag teams and push them. It's really not that hard. And talking about brand new tag teams, although I think this one was just for this week, we had Otis and Daniel Bryan teaming up to take on Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro, and it may have been the best flabbing thing on the show. Up. And this is mainly because before we kicked off, we had this amazing video from earlier in the day where Chad Gable and Otis were training Daniel Bryan up because, of course, he's going to be in the Royal Rumble. But it was just DB trying to German suplex Otis as Chad shouted on, that's right, use your hips, use your hips. So what you were actually seeing, and I say this with no word of a lie, was Otis and Daniel Bryan dry humping each other, as I remembered that Fox had paid billions of dollars for this content. I have not laughed that much in ages. I love you all. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Otherwise, it was just so damn good. At one point, Cesaro caught Daniel Bryan as he dove out the ring at him and gave him an uppercut. And when Otis got the hot tag, he just ran wild. And I know there was that rumor that he's been sent down to the Performance Center to get better, and there's nothing wrong with training harder, but I would say he's already right in the pocket. There was then a series of extra tags and missed moves which actually ended with Daniel Bryan smashing Cesaro in the face with the running knee, and then tapping out Nakamura using the yes lock. This was fire. It was just fire. fire. It works so well. I think at this stage I would like Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura to be broken up and put back in the singles division, but for 10 minutes or so on a Friday night, my word was I having a good time. Especially when WWE cut to commercial at the most unopportune moment. Otis was just running at Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, and you were like, what's he going to do? We cut to commercial, and then when we came back, we were all just back in the ring. I suppose we will never find out. They all celebrated in the ring afterwards too by doing Otis's thrusting. This was just awesome. It was just great. You should go and watch it. We then had one of the best segments of the night, because Paul Heyman did indeed tell Roman Reigns, oh, by the way, it was Adam Pearce that made that match. So Roman Reigns, without skipping a beat, just went, well, guys, I think now that it is time for our main event, somebody should go and end Kevin Owens. So Roman Reigns' New Year's resolution is to actually finally commit a murder in a WWE ring. And I think he's gonna do it. Unfortunately though, for the tribal chief, his boy didn't win. But up, because it was Owens versus Jey Uso, and my word, KO didn't give him squit. Like as soon as the bell went, he just double-legged him and started to beat him up. And every single time Jey Uso even had a little bit of control, Kevin Owens just went, no, 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 and he continued to whip his ass. He even grabbed him at one point and just chucked him over the announce table. Jey finally got a little bit of momentum and went for the splash, but he missed that too when he also re-injured his leg, and that was enough for KO. He grabbed him, he gave him the stunner, 1, 2, 3. I wouldn't say like it was a squash match, but it was clearly an intent to make Kevin Owens feel more like a threat, and my damn well we achieved it. This was proved further too because after the fact he continued to beat up Jey Uso while shouting stuff like, Roman, where are you? You absolute bitch, your family sucks and I'm gonna sit in your chair at the head of the table, and even handcuffed Jey Uso, because you know last week that's what he had done to Kevin Owens. It ended up with the two brawling in the stands like around the LED boards, and only then did Roman Reigns finally pop up. And I think for what, the third or the fourth week to close out SmackDown, it was just Jey Uso and Roman beating and wounding and kicking and crapping all over Kevin Owens. I mean, man, if you didn't have enough sympathy for him already, it is being sent to you in the post. It also ended with Roman just throwing him off this little balcony through a table, and yeah, I don't mean to go on about it, but it actually looked like Kevin Owens was, if not dead, like he wasn't going to be wrestling for much longer. And then Roman just looked like, oh my gosh, I'm a psychopath, I'm going to do this again each and every week till he leaves me alone. And I can only presume that they're going to have another match at the Royal Rumble. Maybe a last man standing, I have no idea. I mean, it is a little strange given the results, but the point of all of this is that Kevin Owens is just the best, and so is Roman Reigns. So yeah, if you do just want to carry it on and carry it on and carry it on, somehow I will find a way to enjoy it. And whatever though, it was another decent episode of SmackDown, and that's all I can ask in my little life. I mean, hopefully I'll get a little bit more than that, but still, overall, it's getting up. And SmackDown is now on a flipping roll. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown. Did it surprise you, or did you feel like you were having a rollicking good time? Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Go check out WhatCulture.com. Follow us on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE, and watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. You've arrived, now click. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Once again, make sure you have a great 2021. I know you can do it. Achieve all of your dreams, and I'll be seeing you as the weeks go by.